I don't see myself having a cow.
I find that I'm always having to make amends for shortcomings.
In a previous video, I told you that I don't make New Year's resolutions. That's because I don't ever want to make promises that I might not be able to keep, even to myself. Instead, I usually make every year a list of goals. I did make a list of goals last year too, and filmed a video about it. Did I meet them?
When it's harder to learn than to teach, soldier on.
2019 was full of projects and a lot of things happening here on the homestead. We did meet some of our goals and others we fell short on, but there were also things that we did that weren't even on our goal list. So I'd have to say yes and no. So some of those things have carried forward now to this year's goals, so we continue marching on. This year I have 5 primary goals for our homestead. This isn't all of our goals across our entire lives or personal goals for myself. This is just the stuff that we would like to focus on this year for the homestead in particular. My first major goal for 2020 is to grow something. This was a goal last year too, but I didn't realize at the time how much would have to change in order for us to get gardens set up here. Because our property is mostly wooded, there's only so many areas that are open enough to get sunlight to grow things. One of those areas was covered in black raspberry vines that were growing in, around, and through some old dog kennels. That took way more clearing than we expected. And also, we needed to remove a few trees to let even more sunlight in. Because we've covered a lot of that information over the last year, already documented in videos. We got a lot done. And you can see behind me, this is the start of our main garden. We have had raised beds built. We cleared this area, put down landscape fabric, and we've put the beds in place, and they are partially filled. We started with a hugelkultur style. The next thing is to order compost, soil, whatever the growing medium is going to be, and we're going to be doing that very soon. So this area behind me here is our main garden. Right now there are 6 beds. There's going to be at least 2 more, maybe 3 more for this year. We're going to be trying a lot of varieties of a lot of different vegetables with not a whole lot of plan on how we're actually going to use them, other than we'll grow a lot of things that we know that we'll eat, and we'll grow some things that we would like to try. Besides this main garden up here, I also have a partially established orchard that needs some pruning and care in order to continue to thrive. And we have new orchard trees to plant in a different area on the property. In addition to the main garden and the orchard spaces, there are a number of places around the house that we want to establish some kind of supplemental gardens. Normally they would be considered areas that people would use as flower beds, and we might plant some flowers. I really want to make sure that we're utilizing any open sunny spot as much as possible for things that are going to be useful in some way, whether it's for food or something else. Also, there will be things like our blueberry bushes won't go in the orchard. There's going to be another spot for those, and I'd like to get elderberry bushes established. Number 2 on our goal list for 2020 is the barn. I don't show you this side of it very often because it's not very pretty right now. It's the side that needs the most work on the outside. You can see there are 2 Dutch doors there, and then there's one odd contraption right over my head here. That one needs to be completely replaced. I don't know exactly what we're going to replace it with, if we're just going to build a new Dutch door or do something else. Because although it will be a chicken coop this year, I don't know that it will always be a chicken coop, so I want to be forward thinking about the repairs and the improvements that we make. We also have to consider how we want to use the space inside the barn. This barn was built for horses. There are 3 very large stalls in it that have a sliding door to a main aisleway on the inside, and then they have these Dutch doors to the outside. They're pretty big. I haven't measured, but they're either like 8x8 or 10x10 stalls, so we can do a lot with that, I think, because I'm not planning on having a lot of large large livestock for sure. Probably not any large livestock. So we're not sure exactly how we're going to use all these stalls, except that we know, at least in the beginning, one of them is going to become a chicken coop. There's also a very large, wide main aisleway in the barn, and it's large enough that I think there we can set up rabbit or quail cages. We can set up a milking stand for smaller animals like goats or sheep, or we could make a milking station for a cow. I don't see myself having a cow. I don't know. A year from now I might be eating my words. This barn does already have a tiny bit of electric, and it's one double outlet that's been brought in, and all of the lights around the barn, including upstairs in the hayloft, have been strung off of extension cords from that one plug. We'd like to improve that a little bit. I definitely want to have good lighting available in the barn because it's quite dark in there. Even in the daytime, there are some windows on the other side, but it's still quite dark in there. I want to be able to see what's going on, and also the potential to be able to have brooder lights or anything like that. There is also some water run to the barn, but we've yet to be able to figure out how to make it work. There's a frost-free faucet inside the barn. There's also 2 pipes that come up that have faucet handles on them, but not the actual faucet. So we're not sure exactly where those go, what they're hooked up to. So we're actually going to have our plumber come out and consult with us to try to figure out if any of these things are still connected anywhere, and if they are they functional? Can we make them functional? I would like to have some water in the barn, but just to be able to rinse things off, to get water to the animals when necessary. So my number 3 main goal this year for 2020 is that I want to start getting livestock. Everybody says get chickens. I certainly want to start out simple because I've never had livestock before. I'm around more fiber animals than any other thing because of being involved in the fiber arts as my business. So we are going to start with chickens at least, and maybe also ducks and potentially either geese or turkeys. I don't know that I'll do all of those at once, but they might all happen this year. With the chickens, I'm also going to get some chicks in the beginning and then also planning to do a hatch. But since I don't have any experience with that, I'm going to be consulting with a good friend of mine who has a lot of experience with that. And she probably will hatch the first ones for me while she's teaching me how to do that. I do want to set myself up to be self-sustainable in that area going forward, other than, adding new breeds and stuff that I don't already have. My number 4 goal for the homestead in 2020 is fencing. We need improved fencing everywhere. The existing fencing around the pasture has been so overgrown with blackberries and black raspberries, and some trees have fallen that it's completely broken. It's also completely the wrong kind of fencing for anything that I'm going to keep because it was built for horses, something quite large. All of the things that I might keep probably going to be smaller, and they could walk right through it even if it didn't need repairs. So all of the pasture is going to need new fencing. I want to section it off for rotational grazing if I have grazing animals. And then also up by the barn, I want to fence off individual paddocks that come out of each stall, just so that I have options for moving animals around. Also, in front and to the side of the barn is a small paddock area that is adjacent to the driveway. The fencing on there is in a little better shape, but still it was designed for horses. It does need some repair even at that. Another area that we need to address fencing is around the new main garden area. We do have all kinds of animals that come through here, including deer and elk. I don't want them eating my plants or trampling them. The harder thing to keep out is going to be the neighborhood feral cats. Kind of want them around. We have a serious mole problem here, and they work on that. But I don't want them using my raised beds as litter boxes. So I'm still researching the best ideas for the garden. But one way or another, it needs to have some fencing. It can't just be wide open. The 5th goal that we're working on this year in 2020 on the homestead has to do with the greenhouse or greenhouses. Already established on our property is a really beautiful greenhouse. It does need some repair though. It also needs to be cleaned out. It was left kind of full of stuff. Some of it's really useful, but it's a total mess in there. The other thing is that because the floor is dirt and we have a lot of moles here, rodents can get into the greenhouse easily and do. And then also because of the way the doors are and all the rain that we get, they are swelling and we can't shut them all the way. Where there are rodents, there are snakes. I really don't like being surprised by snakes. I want to be able to walk into my greenhouse and know there are no animals in there unless I brought them with me. But there's also problems with the wall. Only the lower portion of the greenhouse has walls around it, and they just put siding on the outside of the frame. That siding on the inside is molded. There's a black colored mold all over them. We tried to scrub a lot of it off and it's just not working. There's also a portion that is rotted out. So we're going to remove all of that siding and replace it with cedar siding. And we're also going to insulate the bottom portion and put siding on the inside as well. There's also some adjustments that need to be made to the way the water and electric are already set up in that greenhouse so that it is actually safe. Also, there is not glass on the greenhouse. They are poly panels, but some of them are sliding out of place, and there is probably a better product now that we can use, but we're not sure how to go about taking the old ones down and attaching the new ones because of the way the greenhouse is positioned. And I'll show you more about that in another video. In the meantime, I'm going to need a place to start seeds. I don't have space in my house to do that right now. We're thinking about using this space behind the garden here, behind me, where we've cleared a tree, to actually purchase or build a smaller greenhouse just for seed starting. It will be handy to have one up here right next to the garden anyway, and it doesn't have to last real long, just a year or two until we can really get the other greenhouse going, and we will probably just keep both and use them for slightly different purposes. So in 2020, we need to establish a greenhouse I can use now or very soon for seed starting and to extend the season on a few plants from the vegetable garden, and also making the repairs and adjustments on the main greenhouse and getting that set up so that hopefully next year I'll be able to do even more seed starts. So I decided this year to keep it to just 5 major homestead goals because we have other goals we're working on too. And also each one of those 5 goals has many, many little sub goals under it before it can be achieved. So that's still already quite a long list of things to try to accomplish in a year. And it's already February. We've already lost 1/12 of our year, and we'll see how many we get done. I think because of the work and the foundational things that we did last year and some of the stuff that we've already been working on in January of this year, that we have a really good shot at accomplishing all 5 of those goals. So you'll have to just like, subscribe, comment, and keep following me to find out. I try to put out videos every Tuesday. That's all I've got for you today. We'll see you on the next video.